Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with our inaugural edition of School PD Talk. Okay?
All right.
Chief Black Eye. Yeah, it's great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, a lot of things to talk about. The first thing that I want to talk about is this. Whenever we have had an event at the store because of a fallen officer that had nothing to do with your department other than a brother in law enforcement, you always come. Always. Okay? You not only come, but you sit down, you enjoy the time with your fellow officers, but also within the Clark County School District Police, the lieutenants and the sergeants and everybody, they all come and they all hang out. An unfortunate thing happened where one of your officers passed away, and you were here. So let's start at the very beginning, okay? You're a young guy.
I'd like to think so. I don't feel like it most days, but
you're the chief of the Clark County School District Police.
yes, yes.
Talk to us from the beginning about what the Clark County School District Police is and how you got to be where you're at.
Okay. Well, I was in law enforcement prior to coming to Las Vegas. I grew up on an Indian reservation here in Nevada. It's called the Duckwater Shoshone Indian Reservation. So I'm Shoshone. My last name is unique. It's Black Eye. Comes from my great-grandfather who was born with black eyes, and they called him Dupoy. And when the government came around to give out names and put Native Americans on the census roll, he kept his name, so that name stuck. I grew up there. I became a police officer on the reservation. I wanted to help my people, and I worked out there for about 11 years. Got married, and we moved the family here to Las Vegas. My wife wanted to finish her degree and all that, and she actually applied for this job. I was actually commuting back and forth for about 2 years, and she applied for a school police, and I get a call and go through the background, and I get the job, and that was 21 years ago. Didn't know much about school police. I just kind of had a lot of assumptions. I thought, well, the officers are in the schools, you know, protecting the kids, handling incidents that are occurring, working with the staff and such. And that's basically what I found to be what school policing was, generally. Folks think of that, you know, every time an incident happens in a school, they think about when they were a student, what their student life was like. And they just can't picture some of these things happening in our schools today. And but you know, if they think back, you know, we had Columbine in 1999, right? That was the big change in school safety. But here in Las Vegas, there's always been a presence of either a security guard or a law enforcement presence on our campuses. Prior to 1989, there was always school, I don't know what they were called. I think they were school safety officers or security guards or something like that. And throughout those years, those officers were the ones dealing with those number of schools, you know, because Las Vegas was growing at the time. It grew, you know, very fast. And in 1982, Clarence Piggott, a teacher, was shot and killed on one of our campuses. And incidents started to rise. And so government officials then proposed that they create a school police department. And in 1989, that was approved. So I believe it was October of 1989 is the first day that this department existed. And we're actually in our 35th year this year. Since then, there's been other incidents that have occurred that have been major incidents from violence. We had a student death. I believe it was Bolden. I think it was Donnie Lee Bolden. El Dorado, first day of school, August 26, 1990, was shot and killed on our campus. So those two deaths are the only in our brick and mortar building deaths from violence so far. We've had some other incidents that have occurred throughout the years. We had a Canyon Spring incident where a student was shot on the field. I think that was Calvin Brown, and that occurred in 2018, that during my time. And it impacts the community. Anytime anything happens on one of our campuses, it really impacts everyone, every business, every neighborhood, because where do all of those contacts come? They come from the kids in our schools, and they're everywhere. We have 300 and some odd thousand students. We have 42,000 staff members, and we have over 400 different individual sites that we protect and respond to incidents every single day. And it's a chore. It's a chore every single day. Throughout the years, obviously, we've been, always forward thinking, always, applying best practices on our campuses, always asking for more officers. We've grown from, 30, 40, 50. We're now up to 196 officers. Some think that might be a lot. It's actually a lot in terms of police department size. We're around the 6th or 7th largest police department here in the state of Nevada. A lot of folks don't know that, and it's a pretty big department. The amount of students and staff alone is basically the size of Baltimore. So that's what we're handling on a day-to-day basis. And I tell folks this all the time. Yeah, a lot of stuff does happen. However, there's a lot of students, there's a lot of staff, there's a lot of parents and just community and neighbors and things like that impacting the daily life of our kids on campuses. So yeah, we have these incidents that happen throughout the year, but we're a very large district, and it's bound to happen. Some of these things are just bound to spill over onto our campuses. You go to any of our campuses right now, this particular time, it's just going to be just like you remembered, going to school yourself. And that's what the majority of our campuses are like. But unfortunately, just our community is just such that, incidents flow onto our campuses, and some of our students make bad decisions. And, they have poor influences that kind of guide them the wrong way. And we're addressing those types of things each and every day in our schools. That's that kind of the history of where we started from a security department. And in 1989, we became a full-fledged police department. And now today I think there's 6th, maybe 7th largest police department. I know we have more officers working right now than the majority of police departments across this state. I have the majority of my staff working during the school day, obviously, because everybody goes home at the end of the school day. So, which is unique. Most police departments staff throughout the 24-hour period, but we staff primarily for that 8-hour instructional day, and because that's when all of our incidents are happening. We are 24 hours, so we cover after-hours incidents as well, and it's a unique environment. It's a specialized department, and coming from a tribal police department where I worked prior to coming here, which was also specialized, I thought, because you're dealing with more of a village type of a community, and now coming to a school district, it's similar. It's really similar. My first assignment was on a middle school, and just a lot of similarities of working on an Indian reservation and at a school. You see the same people every day. Yeah. You deal with an incident, and that incident's going to be remembered by everybody there. It's like a little community, and you're going to be dealing with the aftermath of that. Traditional law enforcement, you go and you deal with something. You have no real tie most of the time with the folks you're dealing with. You don't have to see them the next day. We do. Our officers know that. They're going to be dealing with the same incidents throughout the year. So it takes a special type of person to work in that environment and to be successful. And I admire each one of my officers because they all do a wonderful job, and keeping our students safe, being approachable, and being solution oriented to solve the problems that are just unique in a school environment. You know, it's just you're part of their lives for that 4 years,
Yeah, of
whatever.
course.
You know, it's kind of like they grow up with a law enforcement officer, and we have wonderful examples of just those lifelong relationships built on just being a campus officer. You know, so
I have the pleasure of being close with a lot of your officers who volunteer their time for the soccer teams and the basketball teams, or to buy cleats, take money out of their own pocket. You know what I mean? They do it, and they do it without hesitation, because you know that the child comes up to them and they can't afford food, or they know that the mother and father don't have the funds,
right,
and so they're there.
And that's a good point you bring up. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that I do here is just from things I've learned on the reservation. On the reservation, we had a social worker, and you know, being a police officer there, we were intertwined with everything. Everything that I did impacted that family unit that needed some assistance, you know, and worked heavily with social workers. When I became the chief, we immediately hit the pandemic, and so the schools were shut down. So I knew that our kids were, and our staff and the community was going to be feeling some type of impact based on that isolation. Mm-hmm. So, and I know there was a trend to actually have more social workers in the educational environment. So I thought, well, why not have our own? So right now we have 3 social workers working as police social workers. They receive referrals from our officers, and we have funding now to hire 6 more. So we're going to have a total of 9 police social workers working with our police department, handling those unique incidents that we experience every single day with students and their families, their siblings, and just those unique neighborhood issues that are they spill over onto the campuses. So, you know, they address all those what do they call them? Insecurities, I guess. The housing, food, clothing, just all those types of things. Our social workers, they're wonderful. We've had them for about we started the program 3 years ago. I've been the chief for about 4 years now. And you know, last year was our full year with 3, and it went so well. We're adding 6 more. So they're just amazing people, and it's, you know, one eye opener to me was an incident that had occurred, and you know, in talking with them, that they were heavily involved with the suspect and the suspect's family, and that right there, I don't know what it was. Just hearing that made me feel really good. You know, I know we're helping victims. I know we're helping witnesses and just the impact from crime, but also helping suspects and their families with some of those issues that may have caused the theft or, you know, that activity. You know, that was wonderful.
I do, and here's what I'm going to tell you: that you grew up on the reservation.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a family-oriented area. I'm not throwing words in your mouth, but
you're
right.
Basically a reservation. You're almost related to every single person out there.
Where a lot of people today don't have, unfortunately, this type of family, either because of single parenting or not enough income, or whatever the circumstances are.
Right.
But the thing is that they go to the schools and interact with their classmates as if everyone is equal. And so it's wonderful. And so part of what I want to hear about is these type of things. Because, again, when people think of the Clark County School District Police, they might say, well, they protect the school zones, and that's what they do, right? Right. We know that, that's not the case, because they help all of the other police agencies with a lot of other activities and things of this nature, besides helping with the school district. But the thing is that what is very important is the act of humanity. That people need to know that there's someone that cares. And that comes from who you are. And so you're able to portray that to the officers, which therefore the officers are able to portray that to the children, and some of the children that need help. Having the social workers there is tremendous.
Yeah, that was that was a good addition to our department. Probably one of the best things, and honestly, and the things that they've been involved in, and just assistance they provide us. It was always a gap that we just couldn't fill. I remember working on campuses and on patrol. You come up with those. You get a call for service. It's always related to the family unit. It always is. It's related to a relationship issue possibly they're having with another juvenile, and maybe they're not learning the best things at home. And we always used to carry this booklet around that had all these resources in town, and honestly, that was just foreign. You would talk to a parent, and they just were pleading for help, and you just give out these numbers, and then you're off to the next call. Now we can actually have that personal touch with our social worker now making contact, being that go-between to solve some of these problems or help. And then actually following up with us as the officer to make sure that we did a good job, that, this incident is really handled, who knows what brings some people to violence. Some of it's just, maybe they're just violent people, and I believe that. But, our victims are witnesses, and sometimes the suspects, they need help. And I'm glad we added that. And not to say that our officers weren't doing a fantastic job without them, because there are counselors, there are other social workers in the school environment. However, a lot of the things that we deal with are unique. It was that gap that, from the neighborhood to the school was always a gap.
Yeah.
Safe Voices help that out with giving another opportunity for people to use an anonymous system to cry for help or to report an incident. And now what are we going to do with that? Now we have these extra resources to help out with some of these unique things that are happening with our kids.
Yeah, and what's cool is that I saw the other day that another firearm was found, in the school.
Yep.
But the thing is this, that it's because, I don't know if the news make these things up or whatever, but it's because of another student who comes to a teacher that says that person A isn't supposed to have this, or, is doing, like, again, let's come back to a point you made earlier. When I was growing up, you got in a fight with somebody, they went out, they punched somebody in the nose, or you know what I mean? Like this type of activity, or you know what I mean? And maybe one guy, maybe had a switchblade, or who the heck knows, right? But like, there was nothing like in 2024. Right? When it came to the act of, the social bullying and all this, like we never heard of anything like that, right?
Right. Things never went. Things went away. People didn't have an actual record of you either losing that fight or being made fun of. Now that stuff is it's there.
They video it.
Right.
And so,
you and I get in a fight, it's not over. That's recorded, and then your friends are going to look at it. My friends are going to. So that's an element that they're dealing with. And that's one thing that's difficult for folks to, they seem so shocked when they hear about an incident happening on our campuses. Well, it's a different environment. And, you and I that incident you said, like somebody may have a switchblade, or we get into a fight after school and then it's over with, right?
Right.
Well, now they have, stories where, but then now there's a gun involved. So now our kids were dealing with the presence of these of firearms and actual stories, and having friends die from violence or being seriously injured, and then just that stuff not going away, and just constantly being bombarded with social media of all these past incidents. So what does that do? It creates an environment where the reality is that these things are there. They're everywhere, and it does make it feel like the schools are, or the school environment has the great potential to become violent, and these incidents could be on these campuses. But like I said, the presence of our officers there, the wonderful teachers and the staff, just addressing with all of these incidents that are happening throughout the day. Safe Voice, you're talking about guns.
What is this? I don't understand this. What is Safe Voice? Explain
Safe Voice is a state-run anonymous tip system to basically report any incidents that are happening in our schools. And if you also need help or assistance in some way, you can actually ask Safe Voice, hey, I need someone to talk to. Or you can report Johnny, in my third period class, was talking about ending his life. We get a lot of those, a lot of suicide ideation calls for service where it's not just us, but all the other agencies are responding after hours to homes to talk to parents and students who might have some, ideations of ending their life. That's one of the major things that Safe Voice is utilized for, is those types of ideation calls, but also for violence. The last gun we received, the 20th firearm, was from a tip from Safe Voice, and it's quick. We got the tip, located the student, and got the firearm. This last one, like many others, a friend sees it. They talk to a trusted adult who is either a teacher, a staff member, our amazing administrators at these sites, and then they're dealing with it. They're notifying us, and we come and report it. And a few of them have been from incidents that have happened, and our officers doing searches on subjects and getting these firearms. So it takes that whole school community to have that mindset to want to keep it safe and to report things. Like that whole see something, say something, right?
Right, I was just going to say
it's especially important in our schools.
Because they're I mean, like, and again, one of the things that we talk about, which is the badge, right? That the badge should never be a symbolism of fear. It should be, if you need something, please come and talk to me about anything that you'd like, and I'm never going to ridicule you or anything like that. Yeah. And so the personal relationship that the children get to with seeing a certain officer or a certain teacher, that they're able to do this.
And we give them opportunities to do it. And we open up those opportunities. For instance, when I started 20 years ago, we didn't really have an educational program to teach. There wasn't those opportunities to actually get in the classroom unless you had a good relationship with a teacher and you wanted to talk about law enforcement or the dangers of drugs, this, that, and the other. Now we have what we call LEAD. It's the Law Enforcement Against Drugs and Alcohol, and it's a program where we teach students, primarily middle school age, about the relationships, how to have healthy relationships, how to talk to each other, dating advice, that type of relationships, violence. A lot of our kids right now are solving their issues with violence. Our numbers now this year are actually very, very good. They're lower than they have been. If we compare it to 2 years ago, right after the pandemic, they're dramatically lower. And I like that trend. But another trend that we're seeing is that the fights aren't occurring to the high degree that they were 2 years ago, but what is occurring at a higher rate are just individual acts of violence.
I don't understand.
We call them assault and batteries. Somebody coming up, we have an issue, and I come up and I just hit you. Those types of things are happening. Oh, just
randomly.
Just randomly. Well, not randomly.
Right, but
a student has an issue with another student.
And he just comes up and whacks him.
They'll come up and fight. They'll maybe have some words. Those types of things are occurring at a higher rate now. So we're hoping that this program, we have 33 instructors, I believe, that are teaching at our middle schools. It's 1 hour a week. It's a 10-week program, and at the end they graduate it from it. They obviously talk about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, and about communication, how to solve problems, how to advocate for themselves without getting angry, those types of things. So hopefully we're going to see in the years to come a change in the high school kids that went through the program. Now they'll have these tools to better deal with the issues of life.
We love the lead. We had Juan on here when we did the thing.
He's our he's a sergeant over lead. He actually is our coordinator.
Fantastic. You know what I'm saying? And so we did the Zoom call here, and then we did, when he came here, the president of lead, the gentleman. These type of things are what is propelling Nevada to the level that they should be when it comes to school. Right. Because at the end of the day, the child or children or the young adult, whatever they're there to learn. right? To set them up in a place that they would be a better member of society in the future.
Right.
That's something that a lot of people don't do inside of their school districts, but it's something that's very important to you and to your staff.
Oh, absolutely. And we just don't start at middle school. We actually have another program where we're in kindergarten classes, first grade classes. It's called Rocket Rules. It's a animated dog that talks to the students, and it has the officer's name, and all the while the dog's talking about how to cross the street, if you even should cross the street, how to dial 911, how to recognize danger, things like that. And we're teaching kids at our elementary schools just these important things that maybe they're not learning at home, and most likely they're not learning them at home.
And so when you go to work every day, you're managing a city. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you have all these moving parts, and so you have to rely on the people that work underneath you.
Yes, I have wonderful people. I have wonderful people working under me.
And so when it comes to that, let me ask you a question. Is the Clark County School District Police hiring?
Yes.
And so if someone's interested in becoming an officer, they can, because one of the things that I found out about the Clark County School District Police is that you can work for another agency and get the pension, and then come and work for the Clark County School District Police and work as well.
Right.
Which really helps, right?
Right. We pay into police and fire, so our pay is right in line with all the other major agencies here in town. So we're either more than them or less, but it's all within a certain range. And so the pay's similar. Our hours are school days. So what is that? That's 7 o'clock in the morning until 3 p.m. If you work at a high school, you might start at 6:30 in the morning, get off at 2:30. It's Monday through Friday. We don't obviously work on holidays because there's no school. It's a great job. I didn't know how wonderful it is. I loved my job on the reservation because I was from there. They were my people. And I get here thinking that, okay, I'm going to do a couple years and then go back home because it's home. And it'll always be home because that's where all my family is. But coming here and working at this job, just being with the kids all day, they become your kids and you want to protect them. And the department becomes an extension of your own family, because you're all working together in a unique environment, solving these problems and having these wins and these unfortunate losses in some cases, but it brings us as a department closer together, just struggling each day to ensure that our schools are safe. And I think it was one of the best decisions I ever made coming here.
Let's talk about the patch that's on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Brand new?
It is brand new. So we've had this Chief Ketza, who was our longest standing chief. I believe he was a chief for 8 years. And I worked closely with him. And during his, I think, third or fourth year, he made the change to a different patch. And prior to that, we had a patch that was just like this. And he made that change. I wanted to go back to our basics, our roots, why we exist. We exist every day to form relationships with students and staff, solve problems with safety, respond to the dangers that are happening in our sites, make sure everybody's safe so they can actually have a great day and learn and get an education and become productive adults. So I went back to the original patch that we had in 1989, and that's what you see here. And this is our 35th year. It says established in 1989.
This patch here, which is available on the IPOF website, ipof.vegas, for anyone that wants to purchase. 100% of the proceeds goes to the family. We buy the patches to ensure that 100% goes to the family, right?
Right.
You lost an officer.
Yes.
Under your administration.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Well, here's what I want to know. You woke up in the morning. Talk to me about your day before this happened. You had breakfast, all this type of stuff.
I actually was off. I was off that day. My grandson's birthday was a week before, but they postponed it so we can make it there. So my grandson lives in Louisville, Kentucky. So I had taken that day off, and I was actually flying to Louisville, Kentucky to spend a week there. So I was off duty. We were getting ready to get in the cars to go to the airport, and I get a text, and I see it, and I see what's going on. So I give a call, and I find out that it's serious, that he's en route to the hospital, that he was found unconscious by his vehicle, and that's how I was notified of it. So I told my wife and daughter to go ahead and take off. I'll meet you at the airport, because I didn't know at that time what was going to occur. And I get to the hospital, and he had already expired.
And so, how does it make you feel from a fatherly standpoint, which is how you lead, right? To like, are you angry? Are you upset? Like, take us through that.
I wasn't angry or upset. I've been a police officer for 32 years, and being a police officer on a remote Indian reservation in the middle of nowhere, you learn quickly that death is just a part of life. There's a saying, in the midst of life, you are in death, and that means basically any moment at any day could be your last. So. And especially dealing with folks that I've saw every day, was related to, and now having to deal with their death on the reservation, you learn that it's precious, and every moment counts, and don't take folks for granted. So I don't, and it also makes you realize that it's just death is a part of life. So, but I knew when this occurred that it was the first time that happened in our department. We hadn't had anybody take their last breath on duty in our uniform. And from checking around in the state, that it's unique for police officers to actually expire while in uniform on duty. Typically, they'll have a medical episode, and they'll go to the hospital, and then maybe expire a day or two later. But it's rare that they actually do that while in uniform on duty. And yeah, so it's difficult. There's different emotions that folks go through, I know. So my response to Andrew's death was to, be the leader, be strong, let him know that this did occur. I did have a department briefing. I do that often. I have a video briefing with all the officers in the department. I do it typically every Friday or every other Friday. And we talk about what's going on in our department, where we're going, and just some things they need to be aware of, who's done great at this, and those types of things, And I did that after we learned that Andrew had passed away. So it was still during the workday. I believe it was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I called a department briefing, and when everybody got on, I was sitting in my car, and I told them all that he had passed away. And then I let them all know that what we were going to be doing to honor him, and and we were going to give them more information as the days passed. Because honestly, it was our first one, and I had really wonderful staff. I had Captain Burgess, Lieutenant Zink, Lieutenant Campbell. All of them really kind of got together and just addressed some of the things that we didn't know. You helped out, IPOF, Metro, absolutely amazing. Henderson, North Las Vegas, what do they call the TSA?
No.
Yeah. Potts and his folks over at DPS, and it's just it's amazing that I guess the family atmosphere, or just support law enforcement has for each other. And I was aware of that. Like you said, I go to those, when somebody passes away, I try to support and just show up and just represent our department because of, you know, a loss of a life, and it's tragic. It hurts. You know, every department has their own culture, so to speak, and they're close because they experience things the same way. And when they lose one of their own, it impacts every single member of the department in their own way. Every individual is different when they come with any type of loss of life. I didn't know until then that dispatch centers, police dispatch centers, kind of care for each other too during that. It's unique. There's some things you learn that when something like that happens, they send care packages out to our dispatch center. Now we're, you know, it's like we had to experience this now to be able to show our gratitude and just respect for other agencies when they experience something like this as well. Just the letters and just the calls and things like that came in, and are kind of still coming in about the loss of Andrew. And just knowing that we had to honor him and you know, his family. He had he has a son, and just knowing that we're going to honor him and just not forget him and do our best. We formed a committee to actually, with Captain Burgess and Lieutenant Zink heading that up, to address some of the things that are going to be coming up in the future, just to make sure that, you know, that whole term "be like 603" is going to be remembered. You know, 603 was his P number, and you know, that's kind of what came out of that. Be like 603. He was a great officer. You know, I told stories about how he, at campuses, the kids would just, you know, gather around him and just, you know, talk to him, want to be heard or want to hear him say something. And it was impactful, you know, that his loss. He was the officer that we want all of our officers to be like, you know, approachable, wonderful communicator, and that's what he was. And it was just a tragic loss that day. And you know, we're resilient though. We're dealing with it. We're going to continue to honor him and remember him, and you know, do our best to ensure that we're going to fill the shoes that are empty now with his being gone.
And that's what I was going to ask you. You know, like in light of who you are, you know, obviously there's things that you would do differently, or you know, psychologically think differently, or you know what I mean. The thing that's really a wonderful thing is that in the real times of tragedy, that all the law enforcement and fire departments and everybody,
oh yeah, fire,
all,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean, like they all come together, and it doesn't matter who you are or what agency you're working for. The unity of the Las Vegas community of brothers and sisters that are in the law enforcement, yeah, is very special. So to
federal agencies, they mentioned them. They you know,
to hear that is just,
yeah,
it's just very enlightening, because yeah, the thing is this: we want everyone to know that everyone loves all members of law enforcement. The few people, whatever, that you know, they can just go away. But you know, everybody loves the law enforcement, and everybody wants you to succeed, wants the school district police to succeed, you know, and wants the kids to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about something else. The Clark County School District Police, aside from doing all these things, actually does patrol the roads.
Yes.
One of the cool things, we had Lieutenant Campbell come in here when he was a sergeant, and he brought his motorcycle onto the green screen, right? And so we were sitting there talking, and we go out when he does the thing with the joining forces, right? Yeah. When he dresses up like Santa and all these funny things. But the important thing is that one of the things that he's very passionate about is the school zone safety. So let's talk about the school zone safety.
Okay.
That one of the things that you do when it comes to the policing end of things is you have to ensure that people are not driving fast through the school zones, and that there are many school zones throughout, you know, the valley, and you know, some have blinking lights, and you know, like 15 and 25. Take us through the school zones.
Well, I'd say I think there's over 1,000 different. I mean, we have 400 sites ourselves, but there's charter schools, things like that. There's many. There's school zones are everywhere. If you drive down a surface street, you're going to hit a school zone, plain and simple. If you pay attention and just watch the signs, be aware that school is in session, and it doesn't have to be like the middle of the day. It could be the middle of the day. Just remember when you see that school zone, when you see that sign with the kid walking, and there's a sign out that shows that there's a crosswalk. Kids could be walking across the street. Pay attention to that. Slow down. We do crosswalking events, and it's just folks are just in a hurry. You said they don't care. There's probably a little bit about that too. But if folks would just slow down, pay attention, they're definitely going to regret if they strike someone. They always do, and it's never acceptable to even them when it happens that they were in a hurry. It's life-changing for them. So.
And the kids are very small.
They're also.
I mean,
yeah.
like even an 18-year-old young adult, he's probably not a kid, or probably would get mad at saying that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But they're, I don't know if their bones are all fully developed, but like, an 800-pound car hitting them is,
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we have to be conscious.
Right. Well, some of these kids, I
people
mean, you get 14, 15-year-olds that are bigger than you and I.
Oh.
But we're talking more like elementary school age,
Yeah.
middle school age. And those are the ones,
They just run. They don't
yeah.
know.
So we have programs. We go to the schools, we talk to the students, we talk to the staff. There's programs that the district puts on to actually teach kids, hey, don't walk across the street like this. Walk
Yeah.
across the street, in the crosswalk. Don't get out in the middle of the street. Tell your parents, things like that. So, yeah, it's just we're in a busy city. People are
what
rushed.
can we do to, in your thoughts, like if you had something that was, if you had one not fix it, but one thing that you like, if we have to take it in segments, would you say just the slowing down would be the biggest thing to stop the children from or the paying attention or the distracted driving?
I think speed cameras in our school zones would stop all of that.
Okay.
Where an officer, the law would have to change. Obviously, we can't do it, but you put a camera out there in the school zone during certain times when they're flashing, and you got folks speeding. Boom, later on they're gonna get a citation in the mail for speeding. That will help curb it, because we do not have enough officers. Nobody does to be out at every single school zone in the morning. We try, we do our best, and we do a good job of it, but. It's a lot.
We go down Jones, Johnny and I, when we go to the IPOF, when we go to the Metro headquarters to go to the IPOF meeting on Wednesdays, on the Wednesday. And there's that charter school that's down there that they have the 15 mile an hour, right? And so people are, and I mean, you just look and you're like,
yeah.
And so, when we talk about other things that differentiates you from other departments, right? You and I have to mention this because Brian is a dear friend. The Unity Tour is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a certain member who's a lieutenant who has the yellow bike right there. But the thing is this: that the Clark County School District Police. Oh, and there's Lieutenant Campbell up there. Yeah. The Clark County School District Police does a lot of things. We were just at the car show where Nick Feccio was there.
Mm-hmm.
Big presence down there. You know what I mean? And so the Clark County School District Police is a wonderful place to not only work, but the thing is that the people that work there really do care.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the things that sets your department aside from all other departments. And so when we think about being a member and spending time with you and all that type of stuff, my question is this: are the social worker, is that a civilian job, or they part of, do they carry a gun and all that stuff?
They want to. No, but actually, I'm kidding.
I mean, my reason for saying that is
they're not sworn. They're not
a sworn officer.
No.
My reason for saying that is this: what we found is that there's a lot of people who want to do things with the children, but they don't want to be a sworn officer.
Right.
And so in dispatch, I didn't know you have your own dispatch.
Yeah, we have dispatch. We have clerical positions. We have IT positions. Primarily they are sworn, and then we have our social workers. Dispatch would be, our communications would be, the bulk of our support staff. We have about 25 dispatchers. We need about 10 more. That would be, and it's difficult. It's a segment on just police dispatch would be interesting. We charge our dispatchers with doing a lot more than what other dispatchers actually do. They have 16,000 cameras that they have access to.
Oh, because they have all the schools.
Every incident, there's somebody pulling up the camera to actually see if they can get eyes on it. They do fire
I never
alarms.
even thought of that.
All of our schools, all of the fire alarms go directly to our dispatch center. So they actually monitor that as well.
Do people still pull the firearms?
Yeah. They they pick up the phone, dial 911, hang it up. So the kid stuff. Some of the kid stuff, yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm looking for you. Are you there?
Yeah.
So what I want to know is a typical day for you. What does that entail? I mean, not that there's a typical day, but I'm just saying, like, so you go to the office, you make sure you talk to you talk to like
Right.
some of the staff and stuff, and you do you go to the different schools? Do you do stuff like that, or is your job primarily to oversee?
It's more oversee and management, I guess. I don't have a deputy, so I have 4 captains, and those 4 captains oversee the major divisions in the department that make up the entire department. I have 3 field divisions and 1 admin division. So those divisions actually run the department. Every day it seems like we are meeting and discussing issues that we need to fix, programs and things like that we want to get going or that need a little help. Things like that. You got 196 people, just sworn people alone. We have just about 40 to 45 civilian staff. So, you have things going on each and every day that you're addressing. So it's a busy day. And then, I love to be able to break away and do things like this. There's also this district side. We're a good-sized police department inside a humongous, the 5th largest school district in the country. So there's a lot of things that we now have to be involved in just because of that. Wow. Their divisions, we have to work and know how to work with the different divisions in the district to ensure that our goals and what we're doing doesn't impact them. So there's a lot of that as well. There's meetings and things like that. There's the whole physical security with the district we're involved in. There's discussions about weapon detection systems, hardening our school grounds, things like that, technology. So we're involved in all of those types of things on a daily basis.
I mean, that's what I never. I mean, you don't think about it, but like when I went to, again, coming back to that, like when I went to school, you opened the door, you walked into the school, and you went to the classroom. You had a notebook or something, you stuck in the locker, right? But you don't think about it in today's world that you have metal detectors and things like that people have to go through in order to maintain a safe environment, because the important thing is that you're there for the kids.
Right.
And so I come back to that same exact thing that we talked about in the very beginning, which was you're trying to protect the children who are going to be the future of our society. And so they need to maintain a healthy and safe environment, right, that they're able to come and communicate and talk to any of your officers or you or the teachers or anything of that nature.
Right.
And so I think that one of the things that makes that very special is that they're able to do that.
Yes.
You know, and so, all right, Chief. I thank you so much for coming and spending time. There's a lot we're going to go over. There's a lot that we're going to get everybody to come on and do, and you know what I mean? It's a very, very interesting conversation. I know you're really busy, and so I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to sit down. I see you all the time, like I said, but we've never had more than like a 3-minute conversation.
Right.
And so this was very special to me, so I thank you for that, okay?
Well, thank you for having me. I think it's going to be helpful to get the word out to folks that just don't know what goes on within a school police department. You know, just generally you think what they're just out there dealing with issues with students. And it's just much more than that. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks again. All right, let's turn to this camera, and then we're going to give everybody a big wave. See you later.